Hey bucket list buddies, welcome to another episode. So today we're going to be talking about maintenance issues. We always try to do preventative maintenance to prevent any problems or issues in the future, as well as save a little money. So today we're going to take Natasha, my truck, and she's a Ford F450, and get the tires rotated. Now I've never had a dually before, so I'm not quite sure of the procedure. I kind of understand that you take the front tire and you switch it with the outside back tire, and the inside back tire comes to the front. So which means you got to take the tires off the rims and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go get that done today. And then we're also going to work on Mojo here behind me. She came equipped with the MoRide CRE 3000 suspension, which has wet bolts in the suspension. And so for preventative maintenance, excuse me, it's a tongue twister. So for preventative maintenance, we're going to clean up and re-grease each of the bolts, the wet bolts. And I've never done it on this unit. It's a simple job to re-grease things like that on a trailer. However, I think I'm going to have to crawl underneath it to give you guys a good view. And as you know, I'm a big guy. Crawling in tight spaces is somewhat difficult. I tend to have to bang my head a lot and suck in my gut and squeeze my shoulders around things. I have, if you can't tell, kind of broad shoulders and a broad chest, so that makes it tight in a few areas. But we're giving it a try today. So that's what we're going to do. So before we get into all of that, watch this intro and we'll be right back. So hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to do the greasing of the wet bolts first, and to do that job you're going to need a few items. Let me turn the camera around here so you can see that. First of all, you're going to need the grease gun, obviously. You're going to need a good supply of the paper towels, and I would highly recommend you get yourself a mat or carpet or cardboard or something. This happens to be my shooting mat, and so this will work perfect for this. These are the things you're going to need to do this job. It's a simple job, it's just a little time consuming. Now let's crawl under there and get started. Alright, here I am under the rig, about to do a little maintenance on these wet bolts. I will tell you, you normally don't need to crawl under here to do this, but there's no way of really getting a good shot with the camera unless you're back here underneath, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about and what we're doing. I gotta be honest, this is hard to get in here for a fat man. I'm down here, but as you can see, it's behind my shoulders there is the axle, and getting under the axle with the size of my shoulders and turning over is a little tough. So this is definitely made for a smaller guy. At any rate, enough of that. I'm going to turn the camera around here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And let's see if we can get this done. It actually would be a little nicer if they turned these around. But even though, well actually, no, because of the way these are positioned, I'm looking at it right now, you'd have to take the tires off to get to them. So this is the actual best way of doing it. So, but we're going to do it this way. The things I go through for you guys to show you everything that I do. So again, we're back under here. Now some of you might be wondering, so when's the update coming on the modification in the back to make sure it doesn't tear off again? Well, as you can imagine, Grand Design and LCI, the manufacturer of the frame, they're behind getting caught up on a bunch of stuff with warranty claims, and because of COVID, everything is backed up. So I am communicating with them. They haven't come up with a final solution yet that won't void my warranty. So as soon as that is done, I will let you guys know. However, I will tell you the conversations are leaning towards a skid plate rather than the rollers. The skid plate is not just going to be a plate we weld underneath. There's going to have to be a few other things that are done, some cross members and things like that that are going to have to be there just to kind of spread the load out, if you will, across a wider area. So anyway, as soon as I have the approval from the manufacturer and as well as LCI and basically Grand Design and LCI that I won't void the warranty with the repairs, I will be bringing you that video. So enough of that. Let's get on to greasing these wet bolts on the suspension system. Okay, so the lighting here isn't the greatest, so I apologize. But right here, 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 and here are the wet bolts on this side. This is just one of the shackles, if you will, on the suspension. So the first thing to do, get a rag, kind of clean off the grease that's already there. And just keep doing that on all of them, so we have a nice clean surface. One more time. All right, those are pretty clean. So now you just take the grease gun, push it on, and pump a little grease in there. Just like that. And go to the next. When it starts to come out, just like that. And next. So anyway, as you see, I've got these done here. Sorry, I hit the camera. And now I'm going to move on to the next. All right. So I just finished those 5. I've got about 20 more to. I've got about 20 more to go, and I'm not going to bore you with the details. They're all going to be exactly the same. Clean it off, fill it in, done. So, seeing I'm under here, I might as well just crawl under here, or I shouldn't say crawl. There's not much room for me to crawl. I'm going to be shimmying like a caterpillar to every one of these, all 3 axles. So yeah, that's probably going to be funny on camera, but that's a part of me I don't want to show on camera. So I'll sum this up here once I get done, and I'm up outside from underneath this thing. Talk to you in a moment. Okay. So I have to change what I said earlier. It is easier to do them all down here than reaching down from the outside. So this is what I recommend you doing. You see the whole side here is done. I'll get around to this last one there. And then we'll zoom in on that. See, all of those are done as well. And one last thing to point out, you notice there's a lot of grease left on those Zert fittings. You intentionally need to do that, and if I didn't say that before, I apologize, but leave a liberal amount of grease on those fittings because you don't want dirt, debris, and everything else to collect on. Well, you do want to collect on there, it's going to anyway, but you don't want those fittings to rust or things like that. So keeping a liberal amount of grease on these things will definitely keep them from rusting. I think I'm zoomed in too much on this, but you get the idea. So this job is done underneath here. I will admit it took a little while to maneuver around underneath these axles. If you're a thin guy, this will be an easy job. When you're a big guy, shimmying around underneath these things, basically playing inchworm the whole time, I felt like I was back as a 5-year-old. Anyway, I did get it done. It is easier to do it from underneath than it is to reach from behind, from the outside. Okay, so I have another topic we're going to do today here on Maintenance Day, and that is tires, specifically on the tow vehicle. And in this case, it's on my truck, which is a Ford F450. And we're going to talk about the tire rotation. And I learned something today, and I thought I'd share it with you. And I'd like your comments and feedback to find out if what I was told today makes sense. So let me kind of try to explain what that is here. But first I'm going to show you the tires. So on my front tire, let's see if you can see that. You can see the outside edge. There's a slight bit of chamfer, or some people call it a little cupping, on the outside and inside edge of the front tires. Now these are Continental tires. They came with the truck, and on the F450, I'm not sure if you're all aware of this, but they come with 19.5-inch wheels. So I guess they're classified in the tire or wheel world as a truck tire. Why am I telling you this? Well, I went to 2 different places this morning to try to get my wheels rotated, and they couldn't do them because of the size of the wheel. In fact, somewhere here you can see the size. There's the size of the tire right there. You can see it's a 19.5-inch wheel. And long story short, they said they could not, oops, sorry about that. Long story short, they said they could not rotate these because they couldn't break it off the wheel. Secondarily, because these are alloy wheels, and I'm sorry, they're very, very dirty. I'm about to get this washed. They can't guarantee they can get the tire off without scratching up the rim or the wheel. That's the same for the front as well as the back ones. So what that means is I had to go to another place. I went to the Ford dealership, and the Ford dealer said, yeah, we can rotate them, and the proper way to rotate it is to take this front tire, put it on the outside of the rear, take that rear tire, move it to the inside of the back, and then that inside tire come back up to the front. That's how you're supposed to do that. However, on the F450, because these are larger wheels, they said they can't do it either, even at the Ford dealership. So I was a little perplexed. They suggested I go to this other tire place, which I did, and I talked to the gentleman there who owns the place. And he said to me, he says, yeah, I can do them. Oh, I should back up. One of the other places said they could do it, but they couldn't balance them because it's too large for the... Okay, sorry about the road noise we've got here. We've got a big truck going by slowly. But anyway, they couldn't balance them because they're too big for their balancers. So I was a little puzzled. So I went to this new place that was recommended by the Ford dealership. And the gentleman there, the owner of the place, said, yeah, he could do them, he could balance and do all that kind of stuff. But then he asked me the question, why? And I said, well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? He says, yeah, traditionally on a sedan or passenger vehicles or even a smaller truck, you could do that. However, he said to rotate the tires on this truck, on these size wheels, you're going to spend about $250 to $300. That's to rotate them and balance them. He said, but once you do that twice, you could have paid for a set of tires on the front. I said, explain again. He said, you see, these are like truck tires. So like big semis or big trucks, they don't really rotate those tires. They just keep the back ones where they're at. They're running fine, and they will run fine for, he said you should get about 100 to 120 to 140,000 miles off these tires. And the front ones, he said, you'll get 75,000 off them, and you'll have to replace them. He said, but to replace the set of front tires, you're looking at around right around $500 to $600 for the set, balanced and mounted. So simple math tells you that if you rotate these at least twice, you could have bought a set of tires. Well, between now and 75,000 miles, that's like 5 rotations, and it doesn't make sense. So what he said kind of resonated with me. Just run them until you need to buy a new pair of the front steer tires, and buy front steer tires. You'll go through 2 sets of steer tires by the time it takes to replace the rear tires, and then you replace all 6. So that's what I'm going to do. If that makes sense to all of you guys and ladies who are listening, leave your comments below. Am I getting a bunch of crap, or is the guy for real? It makes sense to me, but at the same time, this is my first dually, and my first truck with wheels and tires this size. So I'd appreciate any of you out there, if you're experts at this, give me some feedback. Leave them in the comments. I'd like to know, should I be rotating these tires, or should I take the guy's advice and just run them? And at 75,000 miles or so, when they're ready to be replaced, just replace them. And the rear tires, somewhere around 130, 150,000 miles, then replace those. So he said, I'll rotate them for you. I'll take your money and rotate them, but I don't recommend doing that. So I thought it was pretty nice. He was upfront about that, but at the same time, I didn't know if it was legit. So look forward to your comments. For now, I'm just going to run them and see what happens. All right, everybody, are you ready for the Patriot Games? Let's see if you can figure this one out. It's pretty darn easy. Here you go. So do you think you know where this one is? It's a pretty easy one, I think. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have noticed the last few videos have got less views than normal. So apparently some of you don't like football, and some of you don't like car shows and things like that. And you really like just bucket list stuff and RV maintenance. So I guess I'll just stick to that. So while we're on the subject, I really appreciate all of you that have subscribed and liked and commented and all that kind of stuff. But for the rest of you, go ahead and like this comment and click that subscribe button and click that little bell icon to let you know when I'm going to release a video. And please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you think about everything in this episode, as well as just say hi. That helps me out with the YouTube algorithms, and I really appreciate your help on this. So I guess that's it for this episode. Make it a great bucket list day, and have a great one. Bye.